That's the more challenging part, right? How do I land my dream job? So how many of you think engineers have an unfair advantage because they have this thing called the career fair, where all these companies come and set up booths and all these engineers get jobs? It's just not fair. It's just not fair. So I would argue, what a nightmare. Okay, so I took this picture earlier this week from in the Duderstadt building, the engineering library. Okay, I was up above taking a picture, chuckling to myself, because we used to send people to career fairs to hire people. It's the worst activity you could ever be assigned, bar none, period, right? Because what's going on here? So, you guys all recognize this scene? See all those hopeful students dressed in blue suits? See all those recruiters? So, what's really going on? Let's dissect the play here, right? So we got the picture. So who are the two people in the red circle? Can you make it out?
Students.
Yeah, it's the Chevron booth. There's two people in the red circle wearing, I think they're wearing white. Yeah, yep, wearing white. Everyone else is in blue suit. Who are those people? Yep. What do they do? Take resumes and?
Weed out.
Yeah. How long do they talk with an applicant? 7 minutes, is that the average? I go 5, but 7, why? Let's do 5 because it makes math easier. Okay, so there are 2 people from Chevron, 8 hours a day. We'll give an hour for lunch, so 7 hours a day. How many people can they talk to a day? 5 minutes a pop. Each, or is that together? 150 resumes. Do you think their job is to bring home 150 resumes? So what's their job? Yeah, take 150 resumes and take home a stack of like 20, right? How do they decide to put the other 130, well, I say this pile, but really down there, right? How do they decide to do that?
They put up just screening methodology.
Kind of, yeah. So what do you think the screening methodology is? What's that?
First impression.
First impression. Okay, so that's an easy one. You guys go to like interviewing classes and things, or seminars, or workshops, right? First impressions. How do you make a good first impression? Smile. It's not hard. Smile. Hey, right? Maybe comb your hair, take a shower within the last 72 hours, right? I mean, the basic things. We all know this, and we can laugh about it. But really, you got to think about your strategy. If you're going to go talk to Chevron, what's your value to Chevron? Why do they need you? When we used to hire people, do you know who got kicked out of the door the fastest? It was the person who talked about what the company would give them versus the person who said, look, I don't know much about what you do, but this is what I think I know, and I think I could do that for you, with you, and help you do it better, faster, cheaper, whatever the metric was, right? You've got to take your solo research, turn it into a value proposition that appeals to whomever it is you're speaking with, and why. And it's really not that hard. It's just like the egg, right? The hard part about the egg was realizing that it even wasn't the delicious omelet. It was keeping me out of jail and keeping my children living happily in my home. They don't get taken away from me because I don't feed them. Or I'm not perceived of not feeding them because they don't like my food, right? And the tactics, I think you guys all know the first impression game. So how do you guys differentiate yourselves? Let's play a game. How many of you are undergraduate chemistry degree holders? There we go. Okay, so I wouldn't talk about that. How many of you have a graduate degree in chemistry or soon to have? Huh, wouldn't talk about that. How many of you have taken a chemistry lab class? Wouldn't talk about that. How many of you taken, right? So, all that stuff, don't bother talking about that. I already know that. That's why I'm here. What am I looking for as a recruiter from you? Yeah, why you instead of everyone else in the room? And it better be targeted to what I need as a recruiter. So you need to do some research beforehand. I love these career fairs because the engineers get dressed up in their little suits. They got the white socks and are pulled up a little too high. It's awesome, right? And they stand in line for 2 days, and they talk to all these companies, and they hopefully hand over their resumes, and they miss the whole point, which is all the recruiter is doing. You know what they're paid to do as a recruiter? Is just, is there a glimmer that that person kind of, sort of, maybe thought about what our company is and does, and if they're a fit? Or are they just wasting my time and handing over resumes? That's how you get in the pile of 20 instead of the dump of 130 resumes a day, right? It doesn't take much to get through that first cut. It takes a lot to get through the next cut, which is the on-site interview, right? The on-site interview, you show up cold. You guys know how to network? How do you network? What's that? What's that?
Find the right person on LinkedIn.
Yeah, how do you network? Nowadays it's so easy. You guys have it so easy. You go to LinkedIn and go, boop. Right? Do you do that? Do you all do that? Are you kidding me? It's free. Right? And it's so easy. How else can you network?
Email.
Yeah, you can email. Yep. Who would you email though?
Ask a friend or your advisor who know, who they know in that company, and they can have a contact or number from that person from that company.
Great. Okay, so your advisor knows person X. Well, we'll call that person Cindy, and she works at a company that you're interested in doing. What are you going to do next? Get an interview. Get what? As Cindy? Yeah, good. So you have to call and talk to Cindy. How many of you called ahead and spoke to people at the organization you're interested in before showing up? None of you? What's this? Company info session gets you good general stuff, right? But how many people go to the company info session? How many of you have been to an info session? Not a lot of differentiation there, right? The farther you can get in, people love to talk about stuff. Technologists hate to talk about stuff. You can differentiate yourself just by picking up the phone, calling some people at the company, asking what the position's about, learning more about the role, the culture, etc. And you know what the easiest question to ask to help you do this? What's the last thing you should ask somebody before you hang up the phone?
Do you enjoy that?
Yes. Oh, you nailed it. That's right. Easiest question. Hey, is there somebody, that sounds really interesting. Is there somebody else I could talk to at your company that could tell me more about blah, whatever that might be? They'll love to give you that reference, right? So the strategy is you need to come up with your own personal value proposition. And look, you're all advanced degree individuals. You were all part of research contracts that were written that had some type of impact statement or commercialization section, something that implied that you should fund my research because it does good things for the world. So you've already kind of got that built in. Now all you have to do is take that built-in value prop, which is help solar cells get better, right? Improve their efficiency by 50% by improving the die layer, whatever it might be, right? And turn it into, I can help you, company X, do Y, right? And then do your research. Because after I hire you, what do I need you to do? Well, yeah. So you're going to show up on my campus, you're going to join my company. Do I want you to sit in a little lab in a little hole, come to work at 8 a.m. and leave at 5 a.m. and talk to nobody? Is that really helpful? No, right? I need you to demonstrate these networking skills today because you're joining my team, and I need you to interact with my team. So show me you can get out and talk to people, get a little uncomfortable, get outside your comfort zone, right? All of these things that you're demonstrating early in the interview phase are things that can help you get jobs. Okay, and speaking of getting jobs, this guy right here has 2 minutes to tell you everything that CFE does. And I took more time than I was supposed to, so he's hating me right now because he's going to have to say a lot in a little bit of time.
Well, so we can move to the other room, and I would very much like all of you to come and listen because there's a lot of just hard advice that I would love to share with you. Tactics. You sent a lot of questions, which I brought with me in the Google form that we'd like to specifically answer for you all, and I think you all would benefit from those answers. There are the classes that you can take. There are the co-curricular, no cost to you events that you can participate in, meaning you actually have to get outside of the chemistry building. Okay? A big part of what you're facing, and I know because I've been there and he's been there too, is that you have too much fear and not enough confidence. It is hard to call somebody cold and talk to them about getting a job, but that's what you're going to have to do. And I can't tell you that I didn't, because I didn't. I was scared shitless. Okay? It took a lot of work for me to get my first job out of my bachelor's. It took less work out of my master's because, you mature, you get some more experience, you learn how to talk to people and so on and so forth. So all of the things that Aaron and I and the rest of our team, because again, we don't do this on our own, we've specifically built to help you with these things. Our own personal experiences. And I'm just going to run through the list of classes that we have. Interpersonal skills. How do you interview? How do you give an interview? How do you get an interview? We talk about that in our class. How do you build teams? How do you look somebody right in the eye? How do you pronounce their name? Okay? We have a class on this. Has anyone ever taken a class like that? Anyone ever taken a class like that? Undergrad or grad? No one's raised their hand. So don't you think that would differentiate you when you're talking to a recruiter? You're listed on your resume, you can talk about it. Anyone here ever taken a consulting and project management class? Just kind of learn it on your own, right? Yeah? Anyone here taken a design class? No? We're going to email this to you, by the way. You can take pictures, but we're going to email it to you.
There's a 1 o'clock.
Yes,
Yep.
right. So we got to go. So this is just a taste of we're ready now. We've talked for an hour. I would love for all of you to come to the next room because I want to give you a lot of specific things that we can do to help you get your job, okay?